This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, boasting a I Love Toronto background behind me because I love Toronto and I shall be doing a couple of conventions there later on this year. And well, folks, here we are on Friday the 13th. What is
I
your
love it.
favorite Friday the 13th movies? Well, I like Jason Lives and I like The Final Chapter. Those are my two favorites of that franchise. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Microwave Massacre and Rip to Shreds and Malibu High and all the other fun things that my guest has been up to. Also with James Balsamo, who I had the pleasure of meeting at Frightmare in the Falls last year. Folks, I give you Craig Muckler here for the fifth time. How do you do, Craig?
I I'm doing freaking well. After moving back from Los Angeles, which I lived for years, to Minnesota, this has been the absolute worst winter ever. But all of a sudden, it's mid-February, and it's like 45 degrees and sunny. It's wonderful here now.
Yeah, we'll give it a day or two and they'll hit you with snowstorm.
No, no, no. Actually, it's supposed to be nice from now on, but it's so wonderful because you know what? This is the fifth show, and many of my friends are celebrity friends.
Mhm.
As you know, I know everybody, and they watched our show.
Well, I'll see if this shows up. I got that signed by James Balsamo. He signed it for free at Frightmare in the
Oh
Falls.
God, yes,
Got him, and it's got Darren Ewing on there, who I had on the show last year,
yeah.
and Sean Whalen is on there as well. So,
Oh God, and the thing about James, I was in a number of films. In fact, the
mhm.
first one I was in, he said, "Craig, you're." He called me because I just met him because he was at a horror convention, 2000, I believe, 19, in Florida with Joe Sholin, my great friend who's been involved with me in so many movies, right? Joe
Mhm.
Sholin herself. And he said, Jill, I'm going to be working with Craig Muckler sometime. Really? Yeah. It says, I see you have a poster of your movie you did with Craig Muckler called A Taboo Identity. I directed. And she's Joe Sholin's first movie in 20 years, right?
Mhm.
In my, just named one of the top 20 documentaries of the last 10 years. Theatrical, A Taboo Identity, story about Kate Parker, number one adult film star in the world, taboo movies. And so Dr. David W. Wall and he came up to me and says, Craig, you produce and direct this film, and we'll be behind it. He's the number one adult he's the number one theorist on sexuality in the world after Kinsey. So we started filming it. Kate Parker, and I got Matt on because she turned into the number one metaphysical therapist in the world and helping people with major mental issues, including maybe suicide. Stop that. And Jill, being my friend, I talked her in her first film. She's my star interviewer. Are you kidding me? One of her first films. I mean, she gave up acting to raise her kids in 1993 and 94. I mean, Popcorn. Remember, she started The Stepfather, but she's in my movie. Isn't that great? I mean, it's true. She's in my freaking movie on Kate Parker. And she said, you know what I love about this, Craig? It's a spiritual movie. And that I'll be in it just for you. And she says it. Isn't that great? Jill Sholin. She was once
Yeah.
engaged to Brad Pitt in 19 whatever, 88. Engaged him after they co-starred in the movie Curse Through the Bite, right? And before that, she was dating Keanu Reeves, her star in Babes in Toyland, but she dumped them both. What can I say? But
Well,
a few years, you know what? I gotta tell you, Greg, a few years ago, we're drinking back. I flew her back. I had a few bucks back then. for the world premiere of A Tabloid Identity in a Minneapolis theater, major. And then a couple weeks later, it, it premiered in 4 Lemonly theaters. I mean, so I got my movie in Lemonly theaters. So Jill, I fly her back, and and we're having a few drinks. So it's funny actually. I said, Jill, I'm hetero, and I wouldn't have dumped Brad Pitt. And she says, Craig, is there something you want to tell me? Yeah, I wouldn't have dumped Brad Pitt. Says, Craig, you're buying the next round, which I did. Is that funny?
Well, I've never had Jill on here to engage in that, so
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't face it. I mean, in 1989, she was 88. She was named the cutest girl in the world. I mean, there's a reason why, she shot a movie back here in Minnesota with what's the name? Estevez, Emilio Estevez. And they started dating for 2 years, and then she dumped him for Keanu Reeves. but but I had her on my TV show. I had the number one TV show on Group W, public access or not, from 1982 into 92 or 3. And I had everyone on the show. And even though it was public access, I made money on it because it was so popular. Law firms and companies would pay me money just to advertise on the show. So it was great. I had everyone on my freaking talk show. My first host, my first guest, you're gonna have him on a future show, was Alan Holtzman in 1982. Roger Corman's number one editor, period. Battle Beyond the Stars, all those films. And he stuttered as I stuttered. So he was on my very first show, and it was a remarkable show. When the great story, he says, Craig, I directed for him his probably best film, Forbidden World. So that day, I have him on my very first show. Who drives down a print? New World Pictures drops down a print of a trailer of his film, Forbidden World, which he directed and edited at Roger Corman's request. All these years later, now he's going to be directing, going to be my biggest film ever, Ripped to Shreds, which is a $2.5 million film, which is puny by some sides, but we can get rebates through Amy Klobuchar. Is going to look well over a $10 million film. Bruce Davison met with Joe Sholin, myself, David Bond a few years back, and he told me, and he told Jill Sholin, it's the best script since Willard. So we're going to be doing that this year. So anyone out there in investor land want to invest, we could go through the show. We're looking for investors, but you also be a group of executive and associate producers. So I just want to put it out there right now, just in case, because this is going to be big. Because David Bond is co-producing, co-wrote. I mean, he did one of the biggest cult films of all time, Graduation Day, and he's my film partner. I have Mark Wahlberg himself read the script and told David Bond personally, I love Craig for his work, and I want to possibly get involved one way or the other. Rip to Shreds. This is Mark Wahlberg, my God's sakes.
Mhm.
Rip to Shreds, also a friend for years, is Kevin Bacon and his family, because Kevin Bacon says, Craig, you are like a brother to me, because our birthdays are the same day, July 8th. And every July 8th, we contact each other. So this is a Rip to Shreds. I have the Mark Wahlbergs involved
My
and Kevin
birthday's
Bacon.
July 8th as well.
What's that?
My birthday's July 8th as well.
Wait a minute.
So is so is Marty Feldman's.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I see. You're
So
gonna
is
eat well.
so is Tammy Aaron
Oh,
aka Pippi Longstocking.
God. Well, anyway, Greg, you keep this in mind. You want to be involved in my movie, right? One way or the other.
Financially, I can't do anything because right
Well,
now I'm not in a position where I can.
no, but if you know people, we'll give you a piece of the action. You know what I mean? It's true. And this is not, I mean, this is worldwide. This is great. I have Spencer Wilding. I've gone to 3 horror conventions. Spencer Wilding. I'll
Uh-huh.
get on your show. Number one monster actor in the world, period. With Darth Vader, Star Wars, Rogue One, the Wolfman in the Wolfman with Anthony Hopkins, one of my dearest friends, is going to play my werewolf and rip to shreds. You can't beat that at all.
I liked
Bruce,
Rogue
da-
One. I liked
yeah,
Rogue One. Yep.
and Bruce Davison, when he tells me it's the best script since Willard, he's going to be involved. Now, Mick Garris, I could probably get you on his show, on your show. Stephen King's number one go-to guy, right?
Mhm.
He wrote and directed to me the best miniseries of all time, The Stand. Uh, I've been involved since after moving to LA in 1979 from LA when I was 23, 22 years old, right? And
Uh-huh.
I met Mick Garris through a mutual friend, uh, Ted Newsom. Ted Newsom, a famed documentary filmmaker, and I were best friends. We met. And Mick Garris himself, a few years ago, says, Craig, I can't, I'm doing only my own stuff, but it's a brilliant script, so do it. Mick Garris, for God's sakes, Stephen King's get to guy. I met, Stephen King and I, we met each other. 1984, 85, when Microwave Massacre erupted as the number one mom and pop show video
Hmm.
in the world. So Richard Ellman contacts says, Craig, you're hot right now. Malibu High and Microwave Massacre. I mean, they're. Are you kidding me? You shot in 35 millimeter and you did it. You helped to do it, man. It's just you're incredible. So I was in touch with Vestron Pictures who did Dirty Dancing, and they said, Craig, we'd like to maybe have you do a film. You're on at $1 million. And I contact honest guy. My mother said about the movie novella called The Mist by Stephen King. It says perfect, northern Minnesota, perfect. So they put me in touch with Stephen King, and I'm meeting with freaking Stephen King over dinner. Stephen King, Stephen King, who, by the way, loves Malibu High and Microwave Massacre, coming from the master of all writers ever. So I told him about the mist. He says, Northern Minnesota would be perfect. You have the drugstore on one side and a superstore, a drugstore and a supermarket on the other side. Perfect. So we were talking. I said, you know what? Because I'm friends, obviously, because she was on my very first show, or one of my very Joe show, and was on my show in 1985 with Bo Svensson and uh, Tony and Gene Bua, the head of the biggest acting class in the world, and both all the way on my very first 1985 show. So I was going to have her, Joe Sheldon, in the movie. I said, yeah. And I told Stephen King, and I'm good friends with Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace, she's going to do my movie theater. I met her 5 months after moving out to Los Angeles. She and I became friends because I managed the movie theater she used to go with her husband, Christopher Stone. And so I was going to do this film. I said, oh my God, this would be perfect. And then I found out not too long later, Restaurant Pictures, who did Dirty Dancing, did a film called Ken Russell's Lair of the White Worm. And it freaking bombed. They lost their shirt on it.
Well, I liked Lair of the White Worm more than I did Dirty Dancing, so
Well, guess what? But it doesn't matter. No one did. And it went under. The company went under. And that stopped my working with Stephen King on on the Mist, period. I would have done it. Now, years later, what's the name? God, brilliant director, right? The executive produced the first year of The Walking Dead, right? Him.
Hmm. Yep.
He directed The Mist,
Yeah, you
and it
did.
was and
Yep.
it was basically the version I talked to Stephen King about. Crazy, is that? Except the ending, I was going to go by the original ending in the book, where where they leave a note as like a Bob's Big Boy that they're
Hmm.
all moving on to find more life or whatever, right? Unlike what's his name's version of the myth, which is probably the most depressing ending in film history. Period. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you realize this, but do you have your phone up to your ear?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? For the past short while, your ear has been videoed on my screen.
Really?
Yeah.
God. I'm right up to my
Yeah.
ear. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
I can hear you fine. I heard you fine when I saw your face.
Oh yeah. Is it
Yeah.
weird?
Yeah. I thought I would
Anyway,
lay in on that.
so this, I think about it. The Mist has turned into, by what's it? Who directed it? Oh God, was it? Great director. Um, into many favorite. They named one of the five most favorite Stephen King movies ever. The Mist, right there with The Shining.
I hated The Mist.
You did?
Yes,
Why?
because it had a shitty ending.
Well, no, that's what I just mentioned to you. That's why my original ending, starting with Stephen King, I don't know where they came up with that, but they did.
Like, I
In
mean,
fact,
seriously,
depressing.
spoiler alert, I don't care, but I mean, I remember sitting in a theater watching that piece of shit, and
I loved it. So I thought,
the guy is in his car with his family,
right.
blows their brains out because they feel hopeless, and then he's not able to kill himself because there's no bullets left or whatever.
And,
And then the friggin' cavalry arrives,
and it would have been said they thought it was the monster.
like far as I'm concerned, what a slap in the face ending. I hated that ending. I don't
I
know
did
what the
too.
mentality is of people that think that was a good ending. I thought it was a shit ending. If they wanted to improve it, have him blow his own brains out as
Well,
well. None of
believe
this
it or
no more
not,
bullets bullshit.
my ending, my if I would have done it, I would have done it. The gal that played the blonde girl, I mean woman, and the clerk, the woman in the clerk that was friends with the guy from the National Guard. Those two people in my version would have been Jill Sholin. She told me she would have done it, and Dee Wallace as the woman. No shit, them. But it's true. My ending would have been like the book. I mean, it's a novella where all those people they escape the supermarket or whatever, and they go to like a Bob's Big Boy, and they write a note down. Whoever finds this note, we are going to find help. That's the way the book ended. That's the way it was. It was positive because you don't know what happened.
Yeah, no, I was not happy with that movie when I saw it. And a lot of people are like, "What a great ending!" I'm like, "No, what a shitty ending,"
No,
you
no,
know.
I
And then
agree with you.
they show up right after. It's like fuck that, you know.
Well,
Like I have no
I
time for
know.
that.
You know
Yeah,
what? I mean, especially what's going on in the world now. You want the Hollywood ending. I love the Hollywood ending.
it's not a matter of the Hollywood ending, you know, a sensible ending. You
Yeah, well,
know, it's
I agree.
either he blows his own brains out as well without, have the extra bullet in there and then have them show up
Yeah,
afterwards. Like this whole idea of him in despair there. Oh, if
I
he
know.
had waited a few, like enough of that stupid crap. I don't want to hear that explanation.
Well,
It's garbage,
if
and
it
that's
wasn't
what
for
it
that,
is.
if it wasn't for the ending, I absolutely adored the film. The effects were second to none. I mean, they were just brilliant. You know what I mean? They spent money on them, and it was scary. And the characters, like that woman who was the biblical woman, and then with that guy, also would be in The Walking Dead. Shooter. I thought it was great until the ending. Period.
Yeah, the ending ruined it for me,
But
you know.
but but
I think the director
but
had done the Shawshank Redemption. Now that was a much, much, much better film.
well, you know, everything's
Yeah.
relative. They're both Stephen King. So
Mhm.
I have to agree and disagree. I agree the ending. I hate that ending, but the rest of the film I thought was brilliant. That's the way I would have filmed it, you know.
Yeah. But
But
anyway,
Stephen King's
let's talk
anyway.
about your stuff because
Rip for
you know I
sure. Yeah,
hated the
yeah, yeah,
mist.
yeah. I've worked on probably eight, nine, ten James Balsamo's films. Who you had on your show? I met him in
Mhm.
2019. Part of the reason why he was at a horror convention in Florida, 2000, early 2019,
Uh-huh.
right next to my buddy Joe Sholin. Of all things, this is crazy. And she just did a taboo identity for me. I think she might have had a copy out. I don't know. She said, "Oh my God, Craig, Jill, Craig Muckler. I want to meet. I want to work with him. My favorite film is Microwave Massacre of all things." And then I'm out in Los Angeles 2019, and I get a call from this friend of mine to pick up. Can you pick up Eric Roberts and bring him to the set of this movie It Wants Blood? She said, "Hell yeah!" So I pick up Eric Roberts, who I was met before at a horror convention. I pick him up. We go to the set of It Wants Blood with all these. I mean, all these great people are in it.
I know I'm in it.
And you're in it
Yeah,
Tuesday nights in it. I mean,
Eric
oh my.
Roberts is watching me on a television.
Yeah, and get so anyway, I do my scene. He's great,
Mhm.
and it's directly with Eric Roberts. He plays the witchcraft senator guy, and I play his his guy that's his like campaign manager guy. It was so great to have a scene with him. But from then
Mhm.
on, we did like 12 films together, including Del Selmo Beach.
Yeah, I've
Um,
done that one. Yeah.
but the two big ones, which I really involved in directly. Mine Melters 2, I co-star in it. Help produce it, help direct. And then it would did so well. We did Mark and Clark World Adventurers with Bob Cummings and myself. We've been in a few things together. We shot it. Half of it was shot in Minnesota, back here, and then James the rest in LA. And it's turned out phenomenal. Big time on Walmart. And it's caught on a cult following, both those films, because I'm with James Del Solomon myself. It's amazing how much leverage Market Clark World Adventures has gotten. Major league. You know what I mean? So when I go to horror conventions like I was just in Minot, North Dakota, I've sold probably 10 copies of Mark and Clark World Adventures and a few of the other and then I ran out copies. Well, I also ran out of Microwave Massacre, of course, and Malibu High, but that's to be expected. So James Belstone and I started working this last summer, going on. We're probably 40% done. Microwave Massacre Part 2. James Belstone and I are co-producing, co-directing. And we've already shot probably 40%. And we have people, famous people in it. Mick Garris, James Balsamo shot him. He says, "Do you want to do Mark Clark? Do you want to do Microwave Massacre Part 2?" Craig Muckler's doing it with me. He says, "Because hell yeah, it was Craig Muckler. I'm doing it." And we shot him. Where James Balsamo plays this monster with a guy with a microwave, a zapper, and he kills people with a microwave, just like his dad did in the original Microwave Massacre, Jackie Vernon. But it's so cool to have one of the greatest horror directors of all time, Mick Garris, The Stand. Hocus Pocus. Oh my God, in our film. So maybe we can, you know what? I talk with Jim all the time. How would you like to be a little, you can shoot it at, up in Canada where
Uh-huh.
where you go, you just, oh my God, it's true. The real microwave monster is really happening. And, oh no. And then you're zapped. That sound good?
Well, I don't know if I'm not exactly an actor, so
Well, no,
I'm
it
very
doesn't matter. Come on.
I'd be very melatonin and whatever it is that I put
It
on
doesn't
screen.
matter because you in this film, it's not like being an actor, it's being yourself. That's like what Mick Garris was playing himself. He's not an actor. He told me he's not an actor. But in this film, it's different because he's playing himself and zapped by the microwave. So that's the deal here. You don't have to be. I even taught with I'm friends with Lori Singer, Footloose.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just, it's just, Craig, yeah, when COVID shut everything down, right? 2020, whatever, all that stuff for a while. And I was doing these schlocky films with James Balsamo and Dustin Ferguson and my bigger films. I mean, with Harbinger, a $3 million film, and The Hand That Fizz, won Best Horror Film of the Year last year in Minnesota, or a couple years ago, with Chris Mulkey. Lori Singer contacts me, says, Craig, I'm so proud of you. When Hollywood was shut down, not doing its thing, you were still making these schlocky films or not, and I love you for it. Lori Singer told me that. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
Lori Singer, Footloose,
Uh-huh.
Beauty in the Biz. So these are my friends that through the years, and now Mark Wahlberg ripped to shreds and loves it, has been talking with David Bond. We're not sure his role. He says, but I mean, he makes big bucks, but he knows the budget still, 2 million or so, and I
Hmm.
get rebates from Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, so he loves the script. So Kevin Bacon and his family, Soshi Bacon, Kira Sedgwick, and their son. If we do Rip to Shreds, northern Minnesota, we have this rock band playing in this bar that's run by Joe Sholin, all right, Candy's Bar, and they're playing the original song, and they're all killed by the werewolf. And Kevin Bacon's son, Travis Bacon, band will do the original song and perform. So we did this when I had the entire Kevin Bacon's family involved in Rip to Shreds. If they want to. Isn't that great?
Yes. I just looking through some of the stuff on here. I think you guys are in the early stages of Rip to Shreds because I'm not seeing a lot of these names on there with it.
Well,
So
not, it's
yeah,
too early yet.
yeah.
We've been having out there for a time, but it's early, but I'm not going to mention Mark Wahlberg or Kevin Bacon's family. Yeah, it's just too. But who I'm mentioning to, I in 3 weeks I meeting with so look me up with a major investor back in Minnesota. He Greg, well his name is Greg Baker, and he's probably the number one hairstylist in the world. Teaches hairstyling in New York, and he's number one. I've been a friend for years, and I'm meeting with him, and his friend is that he put up $2,000 in both in James Balsamos, both Mark and Clark World Adventures and Mind Melter. So he's invested in them. So he and I and his friend, a multi-millionaire, talking, and it helps
Hmm.
to have Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Bacon's names involved, and Alan Holzman, director. So I hope within 3 weeks meeting with them and his investor about investing at least a million or more in ripped to shreds.
Now
Period.
I noticed with Microwave Massacre 2, I'm noticing yeah, you get James Bell. I've had James Balsamo on here 7 times. Troy Furlman is in that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Troy's
yeah. We get
Troy's an
everyone.
interesting
All my
chap.
friends.
Yeah.
I'll see. I'm not sure. Jill and I are like brother and sister. You know what I mean? Up the we're that way. She says, "Craig, you don't listen to me." Blah, blah. You know, we're that way since 1985 when she on my show, right? So we're she is like, Craig, you have to listen to me. I love her for that, but that's her, you know. But anyway, I think she'll do it. I'm pretty sure she'll do a cameo in Microwave Massacre Part Two. I'm pretty sure she'll do it for me. After all, if she's like my sister, I think she will.
There you go. There you go.
And she's going. Sometimes she's going on your show. Also involved with me. Remember, Kathy Coleman Pacino passed away a year and a half ago.
Yeah, yeah, that was unfortunate. Yes.
Oh God, it was horrible. They were family to me. Every time I went to LA or went to Vegas, I stayed with their place. And her husband now, Bill Ashbrook, radio guy, and I are still in touch. And do you know who told me keep in touch with them and get the show going on my mother's behalf? Al Pacino. Is it Craig? Keep it going. I'm so proud that you had my mother. I mean, stepmother or not. After Sal Pacino passed away, um, at their funeral, Al Pacino went up to Kathy Pacino and says, "You know what? The last since you were married to Sal, you kept him so happy. Thank you. And from going forward, you are my mother." Al Pacino told her that, and then she was like my mother. So when Al Pacino, God, I mean they're family, and I talk with Bill all the time to keep him going, being good, spiritually. And Al Pacino says, "Thank you, Craig, for that." So Al is more than just a star actor. He's a real person. He- if you know what I mean, right?
Mhm.
It's true. Oh, this is my life. But boy, did that hurt me with because we had our own national radio show 3 times through Easy Radio. Remember that? Easy Radio? Eric Zuli. Anyway, we did their show. She and I did the show 3 times. One time with Spencer Wilding, Darth Vader, Chris Mulkey, and his wife, I'm Chris Mulkey, Twin Peaks, Dana Sparks of, that famous TV show, Jag, and John Voltset of Newhart, and the first victim of Leprechaun. But anyway, I'm very, so that's one thing I want to mention too. I'm talking with him and Lou Pizarro has, I mean, the number one show on True TV for years called Operation Repo. Been on 10 of his radio shows. So we're going to have the radio show coming back, maybe through Sirius Radio. And I want, and my God, Lou Pizarro, Bill Ashbrook, Kathy Pacino's husband, and maybe David Bond himself. And if we can get sneak people, of my friends like Joe Sholin, we're going to do the show this coming year. So wish us luck. You know what I mean?
I was looking at Microwave Massacre on your IMDb, and I'll never forget that opening shot. Do you guys, whatever happened to Marla Simon?
Oh God! After that's true. We had been for because ugh, it took literally 3 to 4 years to really get the movie really going, and we started in 1979, and 2000. I mean 1983 major release in drive-ins and top, and then it played theaters. but Milo Simon dropped by one time. And it was my theater I was managing at the time. The Movies of Tourism. Actually, it would have been 1982. She came on by. I said, Craig, I'm still doing some stuff, but I never heard from her then. So I don't know what she did after that, to be honest
I
with you.
don't know. She made an impression in that opening. I'll tell you
God,
that.
oh, to everyone, everyone.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, that movie was so much fun. Jackie Vernon became like a father to me after that. I go over to his house having dinner. His wife made dinner, and Hank Garrett was one of his best friends. Would go Hank Garrett, remember? The great actor, still working. Remember, he was the postman in 3 Days of the Condor. Robert Redford. So I go to Jackie Vernon's house, and there was Hank Garrett having dinner with him. And I told him, Hank, my mother hated you because you're so evil in 3 Days of the Condor. So I called my mom up from Jackie Vernon's house, put him on the phone. And Dolly, my mom said, I'm not really this mean guy. Yeah, great. Well, they're on the phone with Hank Garrett. But Jackie Vernon's house. Hank Garrett, a 3 Days of the Condor, that fight scene, second to none when he's fighting Robert Redford. You know what I mean? So he became a good friend with two. In fact, he met Joe Schulman a couple of times. It's a small world. This like Kevin Bacon's 7 degrees of separation. It's true. I mean, zero separation to Kevin and I, but it's true. All these friends I know in the business, movies I've done, it that's how I met Laurie Singer online. I said, Craig, my God, and we became close friends. I mean, Mick Garris. Let's look at the people he's worked with. My God, oh Jesus Christ! I mean, and here I almost worked with. Well, Stephen King and all his friends. It's 7 degrees of separation, and it's true. I mean, the people I know, I met Linda Hamilton through the guys that did the Newhart show. Bob Newhart, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, they were my three of my best friends. I met Bill Sanderson on the set of Walking Tall, the TV series with Bill Sanderson, because of who drove me there. Um, what's his name? God, not Bill Sanderson, but not Chris Mulkey, but anyway, he starred in all these films, right? So he brings you to the set, and I meet all these people and become close friends of Bo Svensson, Bill Sanderson. I mean, it's crazy. So one day I get a call from Bill Sanderson to come down for a 1981 or 82, a taping of the Newhart show. I say, yeah. So I go in there, and I'm there sitting because they have they do an actual taping, but they have a live audience. So they have a stand-up comic. So anyway, halfway through the show, John Volstead, Daryl number 2, comes up to
Mhm.
me, leprechaun, right? The first victim. And says, Craig, I want you to meet, this is my friend Linda. I'd like to have you two meet and watch the show together. So we're talking. And, Linda this is Linda. She said, Craig, John said, you produced Microwave Massacre? I love that movie. And stupid me, do you know what I said? Because she looked familiar, but I didn't know. I said, John Foltz has said you're a actress. What have I seen you in? Oh shit! And I was embarrassed. I sunk down to a new low. Well, I'm in the Terminator right now. I know, fuck. I've only watched it 3 times. So right after the show, we go to dinner. Bill Sanderson, Linda Hamilton, all our buddies, right? She's sitting right next to me. And then Bill Sanderson, Blade Runner, you kidding me? He says, Craig, you're into horror and thriller. What's that new movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? And you know what? Linda Hamilton gave me a hug. She said, "Stop that, Bill." That's why I love Craig, because it was no biggie. And we became close friends. Do you know that? And in fact, Linda Hamilton called me when he was in the film with Bill Sanderson, was Tommy Lee Jones called Black Moon Rising. I go down, sit right next to Bill Sanderson and Linda Hamilton. So we go to her party after the special showing with Tommy Lee Jones, all his people. And I'm downstairs drinking. And then Linda Hamilton, "Craig, come on, let me." She showed me all over her house. No shit. And gives me a hug and a kiss. Isn't that crazy? Is that crazy? Linda Hamilton and I were friends ever since.
I wanted to jump back to Malibu High here for a minute. A
Yeah.
lot of people I've heard brought up Jill Lansing. Still no word on her anywhere, huh?
No, no. Basically, we cast her. She was the perfect choice, no matter what. In
Uh-huh.
fact, in fact, she got kind of pissed off, and Malibu High erupted. Right, it erupted. 1979 erupted. In fact, my sister Pam calls me in Minnesota. I'm in Los Angeles. Craig, because it's 2 hours different. Johnny Carson just mentioned your name, and you guys that made Malibu High, and he has um, the poster girl, Mary Margaret Humes, I think, or I forget, the poster girl, which made the movie, and they're talking, and she's talking to Johnny Carson, and then I'm watching, and it says Mary Margaret Humes says he says, "Now tell me this. This is funny. This is the number one poster in the world, and the movie is this hot drive-in movie right now. No, and you aren't in the movie." And she lied. She says, "Well, I was going to be in the movie, with those guys, Tom Singer, Larry Fulton, Craig Muckler, and me, right? So- but I got in a car accident and I couldn't do it. So I ended up just doing the poster for the movie." No shit. She said that. And Joe Lansing got pissed off of that. You know what I mean? Holy fuck. And after that, I never really talked to her again. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But had
No,
nothing. But
I
had
bring
nothing.
it up because I've had people brought that up before, so
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with it. All up. I mean, Crown International gave us a check for $200,000 for God's sakes. So right
uh-huh.
off the bat, I made money, and then within 2 3 years, it's one of the top driving films of all time. And Quentin, you can look it up on, yeah, God, YouTube. Quentin Tarantino has a big uh, thing on it with a poster of Malibu High in the background. He's talking about why it's one of his favorite films, why it influenced him. You know what I mean? And every 2 years, he shows Malibu High at his movie theater where he bought at the Beverly, where he bought the 35 millimeter print and shows it every 2 years. Crazy. That film helped me immeasurably in the long run. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I mean, when I go to shows all the time, everyone asks, how, God, Craig, Malibu, and then Microwave Massacre. I said, yeah, I did them both because Tom Singer and I were both associate producers on Malibu High with Larry Fulton. But Wayne Berwick, his father, directed Malibu High, right? Irv
Uh-huh.
Berwick, one of the biggest cult horror directors of all time, also was dialogue director on Spartacus. On
Okay.
Spartacus, and he also was like a associate producer and helped what's the name on all his films. God, the director of Creature from the Black Lagoon, those films he worked on. So in acting class, so in this class, I'm taking this class with Herb Berwick too because of the movies of Tarzan, and there I meet Larry Foldis and Tom Singer. Of all things, we all got together. And we're talking to Herb Berwick because he's doing a class about low budget film producing and how to do a movie low budget, but make drive-ins and make money. And so we followed his. So believe it or not, we decided to do Malibu High, originally called Lovely But Deadly or Teen Terror. And we got Irv Berwick to freaking direct it in in Santa Barbara. So we did this film with the number one guy, my teacher, and Bill D. Diego, his cameraman. For Malibu High cost $80,000. Anywhere else it would cost $2 million because of it. We made a deal with Brooks Institute for Malibu High, where we filmed the movie there and using their students. So, and they're all top-notch film students we used shot it there in Santa Barbara. It's incredible how this happened. We showed it to Paramount Pictures then. They loved it, but they didn't know how to release it. And then Crown International looked at it. Irv Berwick has a name, and the funny thing is, Irv Berwick, my uh, teacher, his son was dialogue director. I mean, he did the sound man on Malibu High, and through talking one night in Santa Barbara, Tom Singer, and Wayne Berwick, we were talking about. I wrote a script for Irv Berwick's class on low budget, how to do it and get it released. And the script for it was the story of Microwave Massacre. For God sakes! Then we're telling this after Malibu, we're gonna do this film. That's it's remarkable how Malibu High, the same people I worked on, became one of the top 10 driving films in the world, and then Microwave Massacre with the same freaking people we shot within 3 years is one of the top 20 cult films of all time. That's how how it works. Irv Berwick, my God, Monster of Piedras Blancas. When it was Famous Monsters of Filmland's best horror film of 19, I think 59, right? My very first TV show, Craig Muckler's Hollywood Showcase, I had John Buechler on. No, my second show. I had John Buechler on, Brink Stevens on, Slumber Park Myers. John Buechler lived right next to me in my apartment building, who would do Troll #7 and all these films, and Brink Stevens and Forrest J. Ackerman was on my show. Are you kidding me? Famous Monsters of Filmland. And then he did a major article on Microwave Massacre. And then I was invited to his house. And Ted Newsom did a story on myself with Forrest J. Ackerman at his house and how things worked out at his house. And Forrest J. Ackerman interviewed me, the biggest guy in the world. Steven Spielberg said Forrest J. Ackerman, famous monster fan, influenced him. So I go up to his house with Robert Burns, the #1 art director in the world, because of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was art director through Paris Match, became one of my best friends, and Microwave Massacre's art director. So he brought the head of Microwave Massacre, which now probably worth $20,000, and gave it to Forrest J. Ackerman. That's, oh my God, don't you did. But Forrest J. Ackerman, the #1 monster film guy in the world for his museum, puts my head of May, the Microwave Massacre, right next to the original bodywork of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And to this day, that's where it is. Incredible. This is freaking incredible. You know what I mean? And Forrest J. Ackerman and I were friends ever since.
Looking through your back credits, I don't think I ever asked you about the flesh merchants before. Talk about that.
Well, Mike Tristano and I met on the set of, I forget, but well, I met he was uh, because he was a fan of mine. He was a fan, and he's like, so I met him through a friend, and we became, I mean, like best friends. He says, Craig Muckler, Microwave Massacre, showed midnight movies in on Broadway. It's a masterpiece. So we became close friends. Mike Tristano. So anyway, he says, I'm doing this movie called The Flesh Merchant. And the guy that's producing it, well, I actually wanted it as a sequel to Microwave Massacre. He says, well, we can't do it. No, I can't do that. Again, anyway, they brought me on board as associate producer and in the film. And it was like a $50,000 film. And raised the money. And part of Mike Tristano is the number one guns effects guys in the world. In the world, did all the guns effects for God, that's remake of that famous Western. God, I forgot the name of it. Famous Western. God, not 310 to Yuma. I forget, but it was famous. And he was number one. So he brought me on board and we did The Flesh Merchant. And because of me, Don Stroud in it, for God's sakes. You know, Don Stroud, my God, in it, in the film. And I was close friends with, I became very close friends with Joe Estevez, Charlie Sheen's uncle, and
Uh-huh.
and, and his famous brother, right? I became close friends with them, so we got him in the movie, Joe Estevez. And we also got Scream Queen in it, and she was on my TV show at least twice. So bad on names, God. She co-starred in it, and she had been at a couple shows with Joe Sholin, believe it or not. Famous Scream Queen is in our film. And then I interviewed her on my TV show. God, I'm so bad at names. If you look her up right now, you'll see you're the Flesh Merchant, famous Scream Queen in our film. You know, it's pretty crazy. You know, I
So
mean,
you got three projects coming up.
yeah,
Of
Well, here's the biggie. Microwave Massacre Part Two. We're doing
yeah.
it right now. We're in production. James Balsamo started last summer, and I was in North Dakota in October for a major horror convention, Mid Midwest Horror Con or whatever, and I was the major guest with Doctor Satan, the guy that plays Doctor Satan in those movies. He and I made a few $1,000, and it was incredible. So we took 3 days. Because there are a lot of great film guys, and we shot a couple of days of Micro Massacre Part Two in Minot, North Dakota, with their top actors and all fans of mine. So we shot much of it where I directed those scenes in Minot, North Dakota, and also we have a lot of those fans of mine because we shot them. Are also possible investors in Micro Massacre Part Two going forward. I know, no, but all no Major League, Rip to Shreds. That's the number one, Rip to Shreds, because that's our biggie. You know what I mean? So I have investors possibly because of that horror convention I did back in Minot, North Dakota. It's
You
great.
got that. You got Ripped to Shreds, and you got Mistletoe Massacre as well.
Well, Mistletoe Massacre, the guy, he was in one of my movies with James Balsamo. A couple years ago, he said, Craig, I want your name involved. Everyone else, I'm asking bigger money. All I wanted is $125 from you because I want your name attached for obvious reasons. So, yeah, Clint Beaver, I think I forget his name. Anyway, I gave him a. So, anyway, that's still, as far as I know, it's still in production. I think he's filmed most of it already. You know
I
what I mean?
love Bai Ling. I've met her twice.
Who?
Bai Ling is in this. I've
Oh,
met her
God,
twice.
really?
I love Bai Ling.
Oh, God, yeah.
I love that woman. Yeah.
Isn't that great, man? And we know all, I know all these. Oh God, I'm so bad on names because oh God, she's starting. Oh, she's my friend all the time now. Oh God, I'll tell you know what? I'm gonna start texting more of my famous friends I work with that want to work with me, and because I'm bad at names right off the bat. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of embarrassing when they're famous.
Yeah.
But it's true. I work with all these people, and it's true. I mean, when this the Scream Queens. I've been to 3 shows with Joe Schulman and Suzanne Snyder. Suzanne
I mean,
Snyder and I.
I've met Suzanne at a convention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's been at 3 shows because of me. Because of me. And another actress, I hate to know you know who. They just
Yeah, I don't, I
contact me
don't,
if
yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah.
yeah. But one thing about her, she's has a big name, and she and I have been in touch because she's interested in working with me again because she knows I do stuff. Isn't that great? Famous. She's a famous scream queen. We'll just put it at that.
Yep.
Oh,
So
jeez.
yeah, I was just looking at some of your past stuff. And you got, like I said, the three in production. We've
Yeah.
done a few James Balsamo films together. That.
Oh God. Yeah. No, it's weird that we what you know what I mean.
Oh, we're both
But
in It Wants Blood. We're both in Killer Waves 2. We're both
yeah,
in Balsamo Beach.
you know.
We're both in Hollywood Werewolf, Bite School
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
Bikes, yeah, yeah, and you aren't in the other two, the bigger ones. Was that because I'm actually really co-starring in them both. Mind Melters too, but my big, but it is so well, they Mark and Clark World Adventurers, where Bob Cummings been in a number of our films, where he and I co-star. I mean, Mark and Clark, where we kill the giant rock monster. It's, and and because of Jay, my friend, it's great having a film I co-starring in, co-directing, co-writing with. I mean, Eric Roberts has a a great cameo in Eric Roberts. It's great. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And all these other people. It's great. So, Tuesday night. Oh, because I mean, it wants blood. Look at all the stars in that movie. And I had a direct scene with Eric Roberts. It was wonderful. But Tuesday night in all those scenes, I believe Steve Rail's back in it. I believe. I think so. Is it?
In what one?
It wants blood.
I I would have to look.
I believe Steve. I mean, he's great in the movie. In the movie with us, Steve Rail's back. My God, it's Tuesday, and at the house where we filmed It Wants Blood. I was with Tuesday night at a horror convention a year before with Joe Scholen and Susan, and Tuesday night was there. So I show up at the house, and she comes, Craig, what are you doing here? She brings her mom, says, this is Craig Muckler. He's a film producer. I met him with Joe Scholen
Yeah,
in
Stills
Minnesota.
Roseback is in it. Yep.
And she says, and Craig, you promised me you're going to put me in a movie, right? And their mother said, Craig, I hope you do the movie and put my daughter in it. Isn't that great? It's funny. Tuesday night, a fun gal, by the way. You know what I mean? It's just so. But my book now, CM Celebrity Magnet from stutterer to talk show host. Barbara Legaty is behind it. She's she produced and won the Tony Award for um, movie. I mean, for Broadway play. God, what's it called? Won the Tony Award, and then they did it in Hocus Pocus, not Hocus Pocus, but with Joe Scholen, Sean Penn, and Danny Aiello in Westwood in 1988. So I became close friends with her. And I had met Joe Scholen. So in 1988, I'm at the play, and so where they're doing the movie. I mean the play. Now Barbara Legacy was and is Billy Hayes' number one get to producer and manager of the number one movie for 2 straight years about his escape from Turkey. Um, uh, uh, Billy Hayes' movie. Um, I forgot, I mean, he escaped from Turkey. So he and I have become very close friends. And Barbara wants to help publish our book, Celebrity Magnet from Stutterer to Talk Show Host. Oh, God, from Turkey, what's it called? Midnight Express. Midnight freaking Express. So she wants to get directly behind me. It's incredible. And she wants to, if we get this book published, do a one-man show on me at the Odyssey Theater in Los Angeles for a week, where I'm starring in my own freaking show. And it'd be great if I can go on the Jimmy Kimmel show at that time. You know what I mean? So this is some of the stuff I'm happening in my life with the best people in the world. Period. I mean, it's incredible. And that includes Joe Schoen, obviously, who's in my movie. First time in 20 years. How many people can say that? The star of Phantom of the Opera and Ripped to Shreds. I mean, and will be Ripped to Shreds. Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund, the stepfather in my movie, already played theaters. It's pretty cool, if you know what I mean. It's pretty crazy, actually. These people wanting to be involved with me. And Mick Garris himself said, Craig, Ripped to Shreds. I read it. I do own my own stuff, but it's brilliant. Mick Garris, my God, who directed The Stand, probably the greatest miniseries of all time with Rob Lowe and all these people. You know, it's so this is what I've been doing, and it's ups and downs. I mean, it's ups and downs. I do a part-time job here as a celebrity demo guy at Sam's Club to make a few extra bucks, but I'm their celebrity guy in the Twin Cities, and people come and ask me questions about my movies, and then I give samples to them, and it's kind of fun. Kind of fun, what I'm doing now. Let's make a few extra bucks that way. So that's one of the major things I've been doing, but our book, obviously, I want to push that.
How long did it take
Not
you to write that?
that book we've been writing it with Dan Livengood, my co-partner, one of
Uh-huh.
the biggest marketing guys in the world. We started 6 years ago because he's been a fan of mine and a marketing guy. He said, Craig, your book's going to be tops. And in fact, Billy Hayes told Barbara Legacy, uh, besides my book, Midnight Express, the only guy that has a better story than mine is Craig Muckler. He told Barbara Liggety that, who produced Midnight Express.
Remember that? Yep.
This is the most famous, one of the most famous guys in the world is one of my best friends. He says, Craig, do the book, and you might even do a forward in the book for me. Isn't that? It's miraculous. And I said, Billy, I may not have been in a Turkish prison, but I was in a Turkish bath. LOL. He laughed. Isn't that great? So these are my friends. These are my friends, most famous people in the world. But, like I told you, Rock Hudson influenced me when I was 6 years old because I stuttered and his mother stayed with us every freaking year. I was held back. Her Rock Hudson's mother, Kay Olsen, would come and stay at our cabin because she loved northern Minnesota. because they stayed right next to us at the vice president of Time magazine, and they sold the place, and then Rock Hudson's mother stayed with us, and she influenced my life. Rock Hudson, the biggest star in the freaking world, and when at age 13, I went out my family to to Kate, his mother's house, stayed Christmas vacation, and Christmas Day at Rock Hudson's. And at age 13, he told me, Craig, you're going to make it. This came from the biggest star in the world. And Rock Hudson and his best friend, Elizabeth Taylor, influenced me. His best friend, Elizabeth Taylor, told me, Craig, at his house, you're going to make it, Craig. Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor, the biggest stars, the most famous people in the world, and the most beautiful and handsome, influenced my life. They influenced Rock Hudson. And now I'm in the Rock Hudson book, All That Heaven Allows, because I had a call from Mark Griffin uh, after Rock Hudson died. And he's the number one celebrity writer in the world, including for the top celebrity people in the world, and did the movie, the book about Rock Hudson, and interviewed me for a day, for a week, and I'm in his book, the best-selling book, All the Heaven Allows, about Rock Hudson. I'm in it. I'm in one of the biggest biographies of all time on the biggest stars in the world, and I'm in this book. And the voice of Rock Hudson's mother, and because of my stutter, influence pushed me, I would never have made it to Hollywood and become Craig Muckler. Period.
There you go.
That's
There you go.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Famous people, but it doesn't matter. They're all friends. When I talk to Mark Wahlberg or Kevin, it doesn't matter because they're my friends. When I moved to LA and ran this movie theater, all these famous people came in and became Dee Wallace, for God's sakes. And then I started doing my movies, and my God, they were there for me. Malibu High played in my movie theater. And Michael Jackson sat right behind me, encouraging me because he used to live 2 miles from the movie theater. He came to the showing of Malibu High, like the special showing in like 1980 behind me. I mean, he was there for me. Are you kidding me? And John Robinson, number one session drummer in the world, lived right next to me for all those years when I growing up. And when I moved to the Valley and I ran that movie theater, he was the number one session drummer in the world. I did all of Michael Jackson's albums, and Rufus the Shaka Khan, and 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 Rufus, including Bobby Watson, number one bass player in the world, for all Michael Jackson's albums. They all came to the showing of my movie Malibu High. The owner of the movie theater had it in the lights. Incredible. Who also came there? Because I used to drink with Linda Blair. I used to drink with Linda Blair a mile from that movie theater. After she did the movie Hell Night, I just had drinks with her and her co-star Sookie. A few
Okay.
years ago, yeah, and a few years ago at a horror convention in Krypton in Minnesota, and I'm a guest with Spencer Wilding and God, all these people. I go around, there's, my God, 100 people whining for her autograph. She looks at me, my God, what are you doing here? I said, I'm Craig Muckler from the Sugar Mill Saloon. We used to drink. She comes up, Linda Blair, bypasses all her fans and gives me a hug and a kiss. Linda Blair, Reagan, the exorcist. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This is my life.
I've met Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I
And,
love
and
Eileen.
yeah, I mean, she's now one of the biggest animal rights activists in the world. Linda Blair is. You'll read a lot about her now for animal rights, believe it or not. Pretty freaking crazy. Yeah, so we'll have to be more in touch, Greg, because especially we do. And remember, anyone out there wants to invest in an associate producer, they certainly
Uh-huh.
kind of ripped to shreds for Craig Muckler, ripped to shreds with Spencer Wilding. Spencer Wilding directly involved, the number one monster actor in the world. So if you want to invest, you can and be involved in a film with Craig Muckler, Spencer Wilding, and Bruce Davison, Willard himself. Bruce and I have a lot because a few years ago we were having drinks at the in Los Angeles, right? And and Dave Deli or whatever with Bob Cummings in my movie, David Bond, Joe Sholin, and Bruce Davison. We're all together. And Bruce Davison, it turns out, has ties to Minnesota, where I'm from, right? Originally. And he married a woman from Minnesota. So we knew that. So we're talking about Rip to Shreds and get her involved and Bruce involved. And then all of a sudden Jill said, Bruce, how did you and Craig meet? He's, oh, ice fishing. It was just a totally lie. I've never ice fished in my life, but we're from Minnesota, so he told her that. And the funny thing, Jill Sholin, you know, 1988, the cutest girl in the world, right? Engaged to Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, all these people. I mean, that that it's so funny when she said that, and Bruce obviously, I mean, she's so cute. Put his arm around her like 10 times, right? So well, I'm walking her to her car. Said, "Oh, Craig, I love that Bruce Davison," and I never thought you fished. So funny. So I love Bruce. I says, I think he likes me too. Don't you think? I said, Jill, he only put his arm around you 10 times. So funny. Great story, though, right? Jesus. But to this day, Bruce Davison ripped to shreds. Best script since Willard. It's amazing. And it is a beautiful script that David and I wrote. Oh my God. And the people that have read it, Mark Wahlberg loves it. I mean, Kevin Bacon loves the script. I want to be involved in some aspect. Kevin Bacon's family, including Sochi Bacon, the star of Black Phone, Kira Sedgwick.
No, she was in Smile.
Oh, no, that's Black Phone. Smile. Do you know who's in the Black Phone? I get them mixed up. Do you know? Do you know who's in the Black Phone? The star of my movie, The Harbinger. Like that. Madeline McGraw.
Yes, yes.
She's in my movie. Do you realize that we had big showing back in Minnesota of The Harbinger, and then like a week later at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, Grauman's, everyone showed up there, including Madeline McGraw. Holy shit! So then I had a big showing, because I'm going on this show, radio show. He's going to do our radio show, Lou Pizarro. So on this guy, we were all on Lou Pizarro's radio show, including Madeline McGraw. Isn't that cool? Uh, uh, I mean, she's so cute. But see, the thing is, we shot The Harbinger before she shot um, um, that movie. Oh, well, when she shot The Harbinger. So it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? So we could use her name to publicize The Harbinger. It's so great, right? Because she's big now. And in fact, last year she was a presenter at the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror on network TV. And how great is that she's in my movie? you know, which I crewed. The Harbinger I crewed 1/3 of the film. So
Well,
and
Craig, it's wonderful you have all these projects coming up. Of course, Microwave
God,
Massacre 2, and
yeah,
of course, Rip to
thank you, man.
Shreds. And I wish you the best on those. And
Thank
of
you.
course, I love that James Balsamo's directing Microwave Massacre 2 because I kind of suspect he sticks his head in microwaves anyway.
Of course, of course. It's after all, it's his favorite
Oh,
film.
I was so happy to meet him at Frightmare in the Falls.
That's great, man.
Yeah, but anyway, I have to get ready for work, and
You betcha.
I was happy to have you come on here for your fifth time
Yeah,
and
and
talk
push
about
all
these projects. And
and push the heck out of it. Put it on
yeah,
Facebook every site you can, because I have 5,000 people on Facebook. Okay, so do it.
I have about 5 people on Facebook. So
So do
anyway,
it. Love you, man. All right,
I bid you a good day, and yeah, we'll promote this whenever it comes out. And
you
yeah,
betcha. Thank you.
cheers.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, you have yourself a wonderful day, and it's hectic out there, so stay indoors.
I shall. Okay. Bye now.
Take it easy,
Bye.
man.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.